Welcome everybody. Happy to be back. This is No Bullshit Gaming Podcast 2.5 Gamers, session number 13. And this week we're starting a brand new segment, the mobile gaming company Happy Hour, where we do a deep dive on a mobile gaming company from the perspective of game design, UA, and ad monetization. But again, let's not forget, this is a 4 a.m. conference discussion vibe, so let's not take it too seriously. Come on, let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome, Felix, Jakub. And we have a special guest that you don't see yet. Her name is Katarina, and she's my daughter. So let's see. She has very strong opinions about the topic. So let's.
She'll be weighing in a bit on our analysis as well, I hope.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm pretty sure she will say her words. How are you? All good? All good on your side?
Can't complain. Spring is coming. Everyone's happy.
I would say.
Was it COVID last week, or you were?
It was 100%. But it was super mild.
You didn't get tested.
Why would I? I felt bad. I'm not going to leave the house. It's just oh, it's COVID. Oh, yeah. What does that change? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, true. Okay.
Yeah, I just stayed in bed.
Nice. Jakub, any news?
Lost
Ark, I know. Let's not mention.
Yeah, new update there. Finally, gonna look it up over the weekend. I think they added Battle Pass, so need to dig through it, how they actually implemented it. But other than that, I would say pretty mood week on the NFT news. So no more big things announced other than the Owls NFT, which is 300 million or whatnot that I just don't want to even comment on.
Yeah. Today we're not going to comment on any news. We just going to dig deeper into the topics I mentioned, and the first company we will be discussing, Rovio. And just a disclaimer: everybody from Rovio, we love you guys. They're all friends of ours as well. But let's see what happens.
Yeah. As a disclaimer, everything is from financially publicly available information, and just stating as a fact, the three of us are complete losers and have never achieved anything that Rovio has achieved. But that does not mean we can't analyze things.
And that doesn't mean we can't comment.
Exactly. Before diving in, how we're going to basically do this is we are each going to comment. Remo's going to comment a bit on game design. Then Maciej's going to dive in on their UA, what he can see. And then I'm going to be commenting a bit on their overall Ad Mon strategy and what I think could be improved. Before kind of diving into Remo's part with game design, I just wanted to give some kind of top line information about Rovio to kind of set the context. So for those who don't know, they're in 2021, overall group revenue was 286 million euros. That's up 5% from 2020, but down 1% from 2019. So that means that the revenue growth is pretty flat. The best year.
Yeah, the COVID year 2020.
Yeah, exactly. Also, the best year they ever had was when they went public in 2017. Then the revenue was 297 million. So, they're actually down by about 10 million from when they actually went public. So it's kind of declining from the 2017 level. 66% of their revenue came from the US, 21% from EMEA, and 12% from Asia. How that's split up is roughly, 80% of Rovio's revenue is IAP-based, 15% is ads-based, 3% come from licensing deals, and 2% is other, that we don't know, but probably ad hoc deals that they don't really break out.
Is this just the note here?
It's probably advertising from podcasts like ours.
just a note here, is merchandising in this?
I'm thinking that's the 2%. Yeah. Licensing and merchandising must be in there. The plush toys that you see, that's where that is nested in the financial statement. So 5 million daily active users in 2021. One little note that I found was quite hilarious, where maybe we can even ask your daughter for help, Maciej, is they have one page in their 2021 annual report that claims 93% global awareness of Angry Birds. So they have the Angry Bird character saying in a blurb, put 10 people in a room and only one hasn't heard of me. And that's probably the baby who doesn't have internet yet.
Katarina, what do you think?
Yeah.
1 sec. What do you
For
think?
those of you who are listening, Machi is holding up his daughter and showing a picture of Angry Birds, and we're looking for a reaction.
Yeah, she's just trying to destroy the microphone, so I guess she's not recognizing. Oh. Yeah, she doesn't recognize the picture at all.
All right, so the baby is the one who hasn't heard about it, since, you know, the three of us have heard of Rovio. So
Yeah, but that fits the statistics.
yeah, it does.
Of
Yeah,
9 out of
yeah,
10.
I was wrong. I'll admit that. So Rovio went public at €11.80 a share, and is currently trading out €7.20 a share, which is up from about €5 a share in 2021. So it's trailing up, but it's still about half of the highest, like all-time highs. Market cap of Rovio right now is €603 million, which means that Rovio is trading at about a 2.1x revenue multiple. Kind of in line with a couple of other gaming companies that you see. I guess how does that compare, like, in your guys' mind? Roughly the same, right?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yep.
And lately,
But 1 sec, can you just explain for everyone else, like, what does that even mean?
Yeah.
It's trading, well, for Katarina as well.
yeah, so essentially, like, it's the revenue multiple, like how you measure or look at that, is like how willing people or how much value they're attributing to the people in the company, IP, everything that's holding in the company, and how much it's trading at, right? So basically what that means is, like, a general software as a service right now is trading at 20x multiple. Google is trading about like 50x, if not even higher multiple, because, you know, they're a powerhouse that prints money. So only getting a 2x, usually in gaming you get like 2.5 to 3x revenue multiple. So it's like in the spectrum, but essentially people can't forecast the revenue in the same way as a software as a service company. So that's usually what you attribute that to. But it's kind of standard. Yeah, 2.1, not great, not terrible. And I think this slides into Remo's game design section quite nicely, because the new Rovio CEO that came in last year has publicly said that Rovio is committed to making more acquisitions on the back of the Ruby Games acquisition in 2021.
No, he's really nice guy. I had a call with him, I think last year or even year before, and it was just really, really, really nice call, nice vibe, and the whole atmosphere.
Yeah, I think this could be one of those turning moments here, especially the bit about like acquiring other companies. Maybe people can put this into analog with something that Frank Gibault did with Zynga before. So let's.
Yeah, I'm not. No, man. No.
Just in small scale. Let's see.
Small scale. Okay, yeah.
Small scale. Of course, small scale. This is a completely different scale. But let me just go over some of the things here, and then we can kind of dissect why I think it will happen like I think it will.
Okay.
So first I'm going to look at some of the games they released and some of the games they soft launched during last 3 years, starting somewhere at 2019. Of course, there are much more of those, but don't want to go through all of those. And then...
What was the number of the games on their account? 80?
Oh, so much. Don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Really a big number.
Around that. Yeah.
And then I want to look at their current revenue structures and the differences between the last 2 years based on portfolio performance. And based on that, we can then pretty much see what happens there. So let's dig into it.
Even though I'm wearing a Mobile Action shirt right now, we used several tools to get these type of data because we didn't get access from Mobile Action.
It would have helped a
Than
lot.
anyone else?
Helped a lot.
Yeah. Well, let's see what happens.
Let's see.
So, let's continue.
Yep. So starting somewhere at April 11, 2019, Angry Birds AR Isle of Pigs is released, which is in line with their, I think it was the strategy of previous years, where they would go and take any genre that they would be able to find and pretty much slap Angry Birds IP on top of it and see how it goes. So this was soft launch on April 11, 2019. It's pretty much something more innovative than Pokemon Go clone. Like it seems there's like a gameplay on you pretty much having some kind of a transition of Angry Birds destroying castles, birds against pigs in the real world environment. But the last update on that app is August 14, 2020. So I guess this is out of the chopping block. So the geolocation angle didn't work out as well. So that's out. Looking next, July 19, there's soft launch World Quest Idol MMO, which is an original IP. I'm thinking these like there will be a lot of games like these, and I don't think so. These are internally made, and they are more of a published games, if I understand correctly, because there's a lot of push towards mid-core or let's say more kind of core games in Rovio portfolio if you scour through their account. But none of the games are currently faring that well. We'll get to it later. But just, continuing here. So this one was soft launch 2019 July, and last update is March 9, 2020. So I guess this is also out on the chopping block. Seems like a really simple, casual RPG. Next one is Darkfire Heroes. This one's pretty innovative. I think if I understood correctly, there was an external team that published it under Rovio. Soft launch August 16, 2019. Global launch April 15, 2021. Last update was February this year. But if I understood correctly, already Rovio said that they're not going to continue development of this title, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was running they were running the UA for some time, but now it looks like from the tools that we checked that there is no UA at all for this game.
The game peaked around like 300k IAP revenue a month in May 2020, and then as looking at the numbers, it seems like the UA stopped. The gameplay is pretty innovative. It's pretty much a Clash Royale take on PvE genre. So you have the usual elixir system. When you spawn cards, you send them into battle against enemies that keep on coming until you win the level and you progress on the saga. So that's like a Clash Royale spin on PvE environment. But that said, like this is already like a second let's say unsuccessful game on the mid-core genre on their portfolio. So let's continue. Then there's the Small Town Murders game, which actually fared pretty well. It's a match 3 iteration on the Gardenscapes formula where original IP, of course. Rovio took on the mystery genre where you are solving mysteries through progressing story that you unlock by completing match 3 levels. This was soft launch October 10, 2019 and global launch June 11, 2020. And the revenue peaked around 1.3 million IAP dollars at May 2021. And again, it seems the currently UA stopped on this, but it's still running. A lot like this update was April 7, 2022. So I guess this is more of on a back burner or sunset game. But they already have a continuation on this. We'll get to it. But this is a successful launch, I would say. A pretty successful game. Continuing, there's another mid-core game. Phoenix Rangers Puzzle RPG. Soft launch November 26, 2019. Last update June 10, 2020. I guess, again, didn't make it. Already third mid-core. Let's keep making the
it's
sticks.
Definitely not the genre mastery towards the mid-core.
Yeah, we'll get it, but I think this has to be taken into account. Like this is a similar situation that happening in King, I think, where again the company is heavily casually focused and they want to diversify in mid-core and they keep trying. So this is, I guess, of the same pattern. So if we continue, we're at this is really interesting. So Angry Birds Tennis, which is an Angry Birds IP take on Tennis Clash, the game from Wildlife Studios. Pretty much Angry Birds characters are playing tennis against each other. You increase their stats. I guess there's the usual meta game that Tennis Clash uses. This was soft launch February 2020, and the last update was July 2020. So again, seems that didn't take the cut. Then 2014, March to 2020, there's the Angry Bird Journey, which is if I understand correctly, the newest continuation of the original Angry Birds game that they have. So they use the original IP, original gameplay. I think there's some innovation on the 3D graphics and, of course, the mechanics. This was soft launch, as said, March 2, 2020, and global launch January this year. But
yeah, they're spending like crazy on this game these days. So we'll get to that.
Yeah. It seems that the revenue for now peaked at March at around 3 million IAP dollars a month. But yeah, let's see, because this is just too soon to kind of see the full picture here. But it seems it's faring pretty well, but let's see. So this is, if I understood correctly, their current kind of a main driver that they're looking for, like the prodigy, let's say. Okay, this one's really interesting. So actually, Rovio launched turn-based RPG with two different versions of graphics, one being the Angry Birds IP and one being not heavily focused on Angry Birds IP, called Angry Birds Legends and then Chronicles Legends. You can see by the art that it's pretty much the same art, but in the Chronicles Legends, they don't actually use the red guy bird. They swap it for some other characters from the lineup, even though they're like birds and pigs. But then,
do we see any difference between these like IP based on and non IP games? Like any terms of like I know CPI won't be.
I think this was part of a test.
Is that like why would you do that though?
100%.
Like from a game design, is it kind of just like fuck it?
Oh no, this is not. This has nothing to do with game design. This is completely
marketability.
Okay.
Marketability
Marketability completely. You know, if you slap like what happens if you slap the IP on the game? Does it matter? Like, of course it does, but like, what is the difference between the CPIs and CPIs?
Yeah, it's a matter of like how the audience kind of reacts to it and if this is better or not for your game. I mean, but yeah, it's really interesting because I've never seen this before. Seems the game is pretty much the same. Just as said, like some kind of assets are swapped within the Angry Birds version and then the normal version. But this was launched on both sides on March 28, 2020, and the last update on the Angry Birds one was December 2020. And on the one without the Angry Birds, that was April 2020. So it seems these also didn't make the cut. So there's already the fourth mid-core game not making it. Then continuing, there's another mid-core game, Hardhead Squad MMO War. This was soft launch June 2020. And it seems to me it's original IP 4X strategy game. Something similar to Rise of Kingdoms, if I understood correctly. Maybe kind of a more casualish, but yeah, you can see the usual 4X map with shields and players going against you and some kind of base building that's a fixed linear setup. And this was updated last on August 12, 2021. So I guess this also didn't make it because there's like 8 months of a period without an update. So that's already fifth mid-core, let's say, unsuccessful game on the portfolio. And then we have the Supernatural City Match 3, which is, if I understood correctly, a continuation of Small Town Murders, where, again, this is a variation of their, I wouldn't know if variation, I think they're just continuing the Small Town Murders because that was already taking on the Gardenscapes formula, where you...
Yeah, it looks like a Small Town universe, Small Town Murders universe, and they're just putting another game in it.
Yeah, and I don't know what's the state on this one, because the last version was updated September last year.
Yeah, it looks like it's still in soft launch.
Yeah, it's still in soft launch, but there was no update for like 8 months, so don't know what happens there. And then we're going to the really, really closest one released recently, which is Moomin Puzzle Design. If I understand correctly, this is a local Finnish IP. This kind of white guy, I always see him at the airport at Helsinki as their kind of original shop. And this is again an iteration on Gardenscape, so you progress and decorate your kind of a garden, mansion, whatever there is, and you complete match 3 levels and progress the story. So this, I guess, is the freshest one in the soft launch, and the last update was just last month, so this is still an active development, nothing really to say about the performance yet, too soon. And then last thing on the portfolio as for the releases was last month where they re-released the Rovio Classics, which is the original game that is, again, pretty much same setup, sold for 99 cents on the both app stores. And currently, I guess this is some kind of nostalgic move to support the Angry Birds brand, I would say. Like it peaked around like 200K from that point of revenue in dollars, if I've seen the numbers right. But yeah, seems to me like this is a brand support move, not something of a like big game to hope for. So by going through all of these, as for their current portfolio, you can see a pattern here that there's always some kind of a big push on a casual game that's either a continuation of their original game or this kind of a new track that was set up by the, I would say, Match 3 division they have there, that's taking on the Small Town Murders or the Supernatural City, and I guess those are continuing.
The thing is, if you look at Small Town Murders, the game is almost dead.
Yeah, maybe we'll see. But what I'm saying is that there's pretty much two casual divisions. One is the original Angry Birds core gameplay, which is throwing birds into pigs and destroying stuff with them. That's one thing. And then the other thing is the Match 3 variations. And other than that, there's a lot of mid-core unsuccessful games that are, I think, published from different teams, not internally Rovio ones, and they didn't take the cut. So if you look at their overall revenue for last year as for who is bringing what into the Pac-Man pie, Angry Birds 2 is doing around 43% of the overall revenue. Angry Birds Dream Blast is doing around 25%, and Angry Birds Friends is doing around 9%, which together means these three games make up around 75% of their overall IAP revenue for both 2021, and this is the same on year 2020.
I was so wondering when I was reading the financial statement, how come they didn't break out revenue by game? And that's 100% the reason, because, man, that's insane.
Yeah, these are, as I said, like these are all based on the estimates that we can get. We don't have the actual numbers. That's like, and these are still estimates, and we know that we don't see the ad revenue, so these could differ wildly at some point. Just still, disclaimer here.
Still, it's from the numbers of downloads and revenues, you can assume what kind of games are live and what kind of UAs is going to which.
Plus, 80% of revenue is IAP, so yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So pretty much half of the downloads go to Angry Birds 2. And if you look at these three games, let's take these because they are the main bread bringer. Angry Birds 2 was in kind of a decline during 2019, but of course they did get the COVID bump bonus, so they're back on track and really, really stable, making something around 7 million just in IAPs a month. So this is super, super strong, but it's getting really old because it was released or soft launch March 5th, 2015. So last month they celebrated pretty much 7 years out. So their strongest game is already 7 years old. Then we have the Angry Birds Dream Blast, which is the pretty much Match 3 division Pride, which was released October 2018. And this is bringing something around like 4 to 3.5 million a month still. Very, very stable, even during COVID. So let's see what happens after COVID with this game. And then we have the Angry Birds Friends, which is the evergreen staple game. This is really, really old, 2013. This was pretty much the iteration on the original Angry Birds core gameplay with like heavy social and multiplayer focus. I know there's also a browser version of this that I guess is also doing pretty strong.
Really?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, nice.
Because it's not here on these estimates that we could see, but I remember my friends playing it back then. So I'm guessing...
But you don't have friends.
You just don't see them.
Yeah, we are the only friends you have.
But in the revenue, you can see very, very, very clear COVID bump on this game, on the mobile.
Of course.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
This is the clearest of them all. So this one is still faring pretty well and making around 1.5 million just on the mobile IAPs. But as said, could be much, much bigger. But what this all means is that the 75% of revenue of the whole company is being driven by these three big games that the youngest one is already 4 years old. Ooh. So that's kind of problematic because... most of it is in the casual genre. That's the other problem. And of course, we talk about the Prodigy, which is the Angry Bird Journey, which is currently being scaled up. But let's see how that fares, if it can take over the Angry Birds 2 game, which is the main driver. But even if they do that, they're still focused only in that one basket.
In game design, like when you have strong IP like this in casual, what's usually the game like lifetime here? Like you're saying 8 years, 4 years. Like what's the longest usually these survive?
Candy Crush is still scaling up.
That's Candy
How
Crush
old
though.
it is.
You know, yeah.
But it's Candy Crush, but this is
This is also
fair.
and keep in mind,
forever IP.
Angry Birds can be treated as that forever IP because they created their own gameplay.
Yeah.
Like, how do you call the Angry Birds gameplay? Like throwing birds into pigs and destroying stuff in the meantime.
Yeah, okay,
like,
fair point.
It's physics puzzle or something like
Physics puzzle.
Yeah, but the thing is, like we ran some older games with Pixel Federation, like Train Station 8 years now. Diggy's Adventure is it's very close to 8 or 10. I have no idea. I don't remember yet anymore. And that's without any IP. So I think with Angry Birds IP, this can be really live for another 8 years.
Yeah, looking at the chart of even Angry Birds France, like it's still scaling up just by the organic.
That's the thing. Like the Angry Birds 2 revenue, it's still like increasing. I mean, there was the bump, but now it's the really like growing trajectory.
Yeah.
For sure.
So the only problem I see there is that they had numerous tries at the mid-core and they didn't
because it's not easy.
Yeah, it's super hard. Of course, it's super hard.
Casual to mid-core,
especially that if you don't have people with expertise in the genre in your company.
exactly.
It's super hard. So what I'm guessing will happen this year, based on the acquisition of Ruby, which is the hyper casual company, which adds up on this kind of a problem that they already started to towards different genres.
Because it's the other way around.
They will build, they will acquire a mid-core studio or a mid-core game probably. So that's my guess.
Cool. I guess that's a really nice segue to jump into UA.
That's nice.
Yeah. Last bit to the production portfolio that they said. Reading on the interview with the CEO, he said they're also looking into blockchain, but he's not that really keen on doing blockchain, especially with Angry Birds at all. But he mentioned that they have a project in development that's not Angry Birds IP that he cannot talk about more of. But let's see.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't imagine Angry Birds going blockchain after the whole Ubisoft shenanigans that happened. I don't
too
think,
valuable
to risk.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And as I mentioned already, the Angry Birds 2 is growing. But I want to say one thing. I do see on the LinkedIn a really high fluctuations in terms of the people from Rovio leaving and going to smaller companies. So if they want to master the mid-core, the acquisition of the gaming company, I think that's the only way, right?
Yeah. Publishing is pretty much dead in these times, so I don't think so that will work that much. So it's either like you buy a whole product or don't know if there's any other way.
Yeah. All right. Let's try to comment on the UA part of the whole equation with Katarina here. Just trying to comment on those as well. So basically, Angry Birds 2, the biggest game and the longest alive, they are running a lot of UA on iOS and Android. Although what was really interesting to see from the analysis I've done, it's like all those tools are just trying to show that they are scaling really big on Google UAC on iOS, which really don't make any sense. So I'm wondering if the tools are wrong or there is something really weird happening on in terms of the UA.
Explain to us mere mortals why scaling on Google, the biggest ad network in the world, is a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea. It just doesn't work that much. I mean, since the ATT happened, the iOS traffic is almost dead on Google. There's 5 days delay of conversion data. You can't run TROAS campaigns, which is the most valuable optimization on Google you can do on Android, and you can't just do it on iOS. There is the beta program for like a really very small handful of developers that they can try, but it's just impossible to run very, well, let's say profitable spend on iOS these days on Google UAC. It's really hard because, again, you need to wait 5 days for data, and then the traffic is just shitty, especially on iOS. On Android, very different story. Very different story. It works like a charm. Yeah, a little bit of the hustle with my daughter here, but yeah, well, she doesn't like the iOS traffic as well on Google, so I can't blame her. So the biggest channel is Google for Angry Birds 2, which makes sense because usually what you do, you start a game or global launch a game, you launch all the money to Facebook, then scale and then diversify. But in these days, you diversify even in soft launch. But here, the highest spending is Google. Then you have Facebook, Wangle, Unity, Uplavin, and there is also Twitter and AdColony. So Twitter is really funny because I don't see any games in the whole universe that can get good results on Twitter. And I think this is what happens. This is like an experimental ad network, and I saw very small amount of spend goes there. But if you want really to drive and scale these type of games, you need way more ad networks. And Wangle, yes, but still, you need iron source, you need TikTok. There was some level of spend on TikTok as well, but you need more. You need more to drive these older games and scale them and grow them. I mean, you most probably reach a plateau, but then when these all like the new channels emerge, like Snap did like a couple of years ago, and then TikTok, you need to be there. You need to be there and just spend money and just make it work. It's not like, oh well, we tried TikTok, it doesn't work. Oh, you're Rovio. What the fuck, man? Make it work. Make it work. That's how you should approach all of these like new channels. Like, yeah, oh well, this doesn't work. Well, look, who else is better suited for making these type of games work on the ad networks? So and Facebook as well. I mean, Facebook in general, like, it sucks these days. So I get why the Facebook is not that big on Angry Birds that much, at least from the tools that we saw. So then we have the Dream Blast, and again, I saw like 70% of ad spend went to Google on iOS. Again, nothing against Google. We have a lot of Google friends also listening to the podcast. Thank you very much for that. But still, not that much scalable on, and at least in my experiences, that this didn't work that well. And well, humbly enough, worked with 25 games, and like 2 of them or 3 of them were able to scale profitably on iOS on Google. For iOS, there are very different ad networks that you can scale the traffic, like TikTok, like Facebook. Although I said Facebook is shit, but iOS works.
When you say like
Felix?
make it work, Rovio, you can make it work. Like, is that just creatives that you need to change, or like what do you mean with that? Like,
well, look. So there is always a process or a hack or something that you will find out when you work with the UA channel afterwards. Like, you spend $1 million, you have so much data. You ran millions of different variations of creatives, different optimizations, different targetings. So, and there's like on TikTok a huge amount of possibilities to do that. So if I say make it work, then I say like test everything that is there, dissect the whole UA channel, and just use whatever works. And maybe they already did that, and this is the result. And we can see only like 1% or 3% of the overall spend goes to TikTok. I don't know, but that's my assumption. But basically, this is very similar for Dream Blast, and what I can say is that the Google is really interesting there, but it's not growing anymore. It's plateaued, and the revenue decreased over the last couple of weeks, and the downloads are very close to zero. So basically, since they launched, it looks like it's slowly dying, which is very interesting because, well, if this is one of the 3 games that are making the whole 75%, Well, there might be something wrong. So
What would you do? What would you do
again,
then if you're anointed, the UA keys to the kingdom?
well, the thing is, these days you don't have so many options besides the UA channels. And then what I don't see in like across the whole portfolio of the games, any fake ads or fake-ish ads, which are absolute killers for Dream Games, Royal Match, and then
Playrix.
basically home Playrix. That's how you grow. I mean, that's how you grow.
Don't you think this is against their strategy when they're pushing like Netflix series and like cinema movies?
That's what I wanted to say. I mean, you can try to fight this with brand recognition, but that's gonna cost you a lot more in terms of the investments, and it's a long process. Obviously, if you are aiming for long-term goals and long-term KPIs, it makes sense. It makes all the sense. So that might be what we can. That's what we can see here, perhaps.
Because they have the new movie on new series on Netflix now, yeah.
I believe so. Yeah, I haven't seen it personally, but yeah.
Yep.
Like,
I mean, neither. I haven't seen the movies.
Angry Birds
yet.
Summer Madness, this summer 11-minute episodes. If I get like those are really kind of universal because if I get it right, there's no speech or anything kind of a Tom and Jerry like episode. So super approachable. So how do you think this kind of affects their channels?
To a certain degree, like this, very similar to the TV spots. If you run the TV campaigns, so it's a brand awareness. That's it. But TV series or TV show on Netflix, how can you even measure that?
I mean, you can see it in the annual statement, right? It must be part of that, like 3% licensing, right? So that's the revenue impact they're having on the company. But I guess the brand recognition you're talking about, like, there's no way of measuring that, right?
And you already said 9 of 10 people already know Angry Birds. So what do you do? Like 9.5 people?
So basically, the best thing they can do is fake ads.
No. I don't. Yeah. The best thing is just diversify the UA portfolio even to a bit wider, because now it looks like the whole UA on the company level is like 5 networks. Like it's Wangle always, Unity always, Google, Facebook, and then something else here and there. But that's not enough. That's not enough. You need more. You need more.
They really need to find their empires and puzzles like Zynga did, just in a small scale. That would really help.
No, but for the Angry Birds journey. So basically, again, this was global launched very recently, and the Facebook is a super big spend. Makes total sense. Then we see Google, Unity, Wangle again, four of these, and then you have Iron Source there. Okay, great, but what about other channels? What about other channels? Why don't we see there a TikTok, Snapchat, whatever else? Yeah, Applavin again. It's so much more you can do, and this is the pattern that I see across all the games that that's our live. Which, well, I mean, we are almost at the end of the live games they are just spending a lot of money because, like you said, Jakub, the journey, Angry Birds journey, it already peaked. So, I mean, what was the global launch strategy? I mean, there was certainly there was What do you think? That was the good global launch strategy. Well, yeah, there you go. So there was definitely featuring, but then the number of downloads definitely stayed the same.
Yeah, I think one thing maybe that we missed that we didn't mention here is that, for instance, every subsequent Candy Crush had a lower revenue run than the previous one, and the first one is still the biggest. That's to be said. But here, the pattern is a little bit different because the first Angry Birds that they released, remember, those were still the ones for 99 cents. That was not a free-to-play game.
Premium games.
Yeah, that's why Angry Birds 2 really is killing it. But now comes the part where the diminishing return kicks in.
The Angry Birds Journey, right?
Yeah, because Angry Birds Journey is pretty much the same formula. So if I understand correctly, this is the part where the second game cannot overrun the first game because now we're in free-to-play world, not in the premium one anymore.
Yep, very true. But then they try to diversify the games, and now going to the puzzle genre and the match 3, right? With the small town murders, which already looks like it's not getting any traffic since last year, September, October. But the revenue is there still.
Yeah, we'll see.
But it's declining.
I have to say, every casual games developer or studio or publisher kind of struggles with this. That if your main bulk of the portfolio is coming from casual, you want to diversify. Playrix also want to diversify. King want to diversify. There are numerous kind of fail games on their portfolio trying to reach the mid-core audience, and that is how it is. But remember, Playrix bought Hero Wars, Nexter Studio, if I get there. So they already... And similar thing like Zynga did, I said, they bought Empires and Puzzles. So I think they just need to find their good target to diversify and just bought the studio out.
Yeah, because the talent is definitely in Finland, but it's going the other way from Rovio, not to Rovio, unfortunately, which is completely normal. Yeah, right. It's completely normal, but you need to acquire some company somewhere in the world that can help you with building that mid-core strategy.
Or it could be something different. Doesn't need to be mid-core. Could be something like simulation or sports. Doesn't matter.
Sure.
Just
anything,
a different genre than the normal casual.
Based on the UA channels and the analysis I did, it again, like I said, it looks like the company UA strategy is always the same UA channels. No innovation there. There is really not a huge amount of different creative styles or concepts. Of course, there is millions of them, but there are these missing parts of like the fake ads, something that really it's new again. Because what would you expect from the company this size? Those are the leaders of the creative world. Like, you can see all the huge 3D CGI concepts and videos, but it doesn't work that much. Do you know like what Raid did with these therapy sessions for the couples? That was fucking amazing. It was really amazing, but it was really suitable for the target audience, and it was again a great production value. Yes, everything, but it was really an innovation in terms of the creatives. This is something that I'm really missing in Rovio strategy. And then, we said like there is the ad monetization, and I'm pretty sure that you are going to say, Felix, that they are missing a lot on that part. But the thing is, the thing is, I know, someone mentioned Singular has it on the website somewhere that the Rovio is using them, which means they can't run that much of like AdROAS campaigns on Unity because it's not supported, unfortunately. And based on the ad monetization, they are not the level of ad monetization, they are not doing so many AdROAS campaigns, and that's where they are missing a lot of money because lower competition, lower CPIs, and you can see the ROI super quickly, super fast. So leaving a lot of money on the table. So I guess. Handing over to you, Felix.
Kind of to manage on the bridge here to Ad Mon, I guess, like the main thing also is that Rovio has rumored, or it's kind of known that they have their own mediation platform, and to make AdROAS UA campaigns work, usually you do that with a company that you mediate with, because then they have access to all the data, and then those campaigns usually scale quite quickly, at least in my experience.
Well, the thing is, like, you use the MMP to get those data in. So maybe if they can, they can plug in their mediation to Singular, that would work. But Singular doesn't have the connections to Unity, unfortunately, and this is really powerful. Maybe, well, not maybe, but for sure it's available on Google and other channels. But with like 15% of ad monetized revenue, most probably, they're not doing it because it doesn't make any sense. It could, if they increase the app, if they increase the number of...
Very nice setup for me. Thank you, Maciej.
Yeah, there you go.
So just, kind of announcement here before starting. Like, the tricky thing with Ad Mon is that, like, without access to any first-party data, it's kind of hard for me to peer in and make direct calculations. However, I played most of their games. So I played 21 of their games on iOS. And the thing I realized is that I only get IDFA asking opt-in messaging on one game out of 20 that I played. So it's fair to assume that means, that pretty much on all their iOS titles, they're assuming that all players are opting out of ad tracking or limited ad tracking, right? So for those of you guys who don't know, LHE traffic is a lot cheaper on iOS compared to IDFA traffic, since it's harder to kind of predict conversions. So this kind of got me thinking, like, how much money is Rovio actually losing net by not asking for an opt-in message and just assuming that everyone does not want to be tracked? So here we actually have something we can actually calculate. So in 2021, like I said earlier, overall group revenue, 286 million, 14% of that is ad revenue, or 41.6 million. Bit of credit is due here to Rovio. Compared to last year, this figure is actually increased by 32%. So they are doing some kind of work on ads, and that's impressive.
Or they're running more UA spend to get that.
And without having access to any of their ad ARPDAU, like numbers, you won't actually be able to tell that. But yeah, very good point. So Rovio doesn't break out ad revenue by OS in their annual statement. So I had to look at data sources. And from those data sources, it looks like about 28% of users are iOS users. So the thing you need to know about iOS users, which most people do, is that they're more valuable from an eCPM standpoint compared to Android. So even though it's only 28% of users are iOS users, I can safely assume that at least 40% of Rovio's ad revenue is coming from iOS. I'm being a bit generous there because I think it's closer to 45, but just leaving a bit of margin of error. So 40% of 41 million euros of overall ad revenue is 16.6 million that then is derived from iOS. So having experience working on casual and mid-core titles, I know that I can get a 50% opt-in rate of user consent because I've done it personally. We can get into like the hows and you do that a bit later, but let's just for now assume that you can get an opt-in rate of 50%. So I looked at the average eCPM delta between LAT and IDFA traffic in America and rest of the world. So in America on RVs, LAT average eCPM is $17.50 and $25 on IDFA. And RV, basically LAT traffic is $8 averagely around the world and $9 on IDFA. So on US RVs, the delta between tracked and non-tracked is 42% in the eCPM. And in the rest of the world, 12.5%. So kind of using those numbers, we can dig a bit deeper. And Rovio's geo breakout in the annual statement states that 66.9% of revenue came from America and 33% from the rest of the world. So I'll just have to use those numbers. So assuming that you'd be able to get a 50% opt-in to tracking, running the numbers, that would mean that Rovio, by not optimizing this and even asking if users don't want to consent to being tracked, they're losing 2.6 million euros a year just on this basis alone. Doesn't sound like that much, but that would be 6% of overall ad revenue for Rovio, 6.45%, and that means about 1% of overall group revenue just from doing this.
I was expecting you will say just like last time, this is GDP of Bulgaria.
Oh, yeah.
Last time.
But I will add this, like 1% of overall group revenue doesn't sound like that much. But if you had added this 2.6 million euros to the 2021 revenue, that would have brought them on par with their 2019 overall revenue, which was their second highest revenue year ever, which would have made the company completely flat. And that does make a difference, I would assume. So, I gotta admit, I made some assumptions here. Like, maybe I'm off by even 50%, but that would still be 0.5% of overall group revenue. And like these things optimizing, doesn't take...
Well, it's still like 1 million.
Exactly. And
plus.
it doesn't...
Yep.
Just by doing
very little,
right?
Yeah. So I got this like from external data. I'm assuming if I had their direct data, I'd be able to find some more things. But the thing that I'm most like curious about, I didn't look at Rovio's hyper casual portfolio, but I hope to God that they're not assuming that all iOS users there are LAT users too, because that's like a true kiss of death for hyper casual studios. I'll look into that when I have more time. So there's a big risk as well on this, because essentially when Apple starts enforcing fingerprinting, this delta is going to get even bigger. And yeah, then they're going to be losing even more money on their ad revenue by not asking users if they want to consent. So a bit of self-critique on like kind of what I'm saying is the first thing that you can critique me on is that like privacy versus share price. Like basically, you know, Rovio is a nice company. They're assuming that people want to have their privacy. Fair point, I think. But, you know, you got to remember also that Rovio is a publicly listed company, which means they have a fiduciary duty to maximize shareholder value. And like, if you're asking for someone's privacy, in my book, that's okay, because you're making the user decide, not assuming something on behalf of your users.
Yeah, exactly. You're just asking for the information they can share, or they just can decide not to.
Exactly.
Yeah, but this would fit with the brand kind of a focus strategy of not doing fake ads, and let's not do also this.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Fair point.
I'm just
That's,
saying, like, if you want to add, like I've done this, it doesn't take that much resources, and if you want to add like 2.6 million like euros a year, or 1% of your overall group revenue, by just asking your user base, that's in my mind quite worth investigation.
No, like it's pretty valid, I would say, but still, if somebody from the brand department kind of consider this to be a bigger damage or risk to the actual brand or IP,
I think it's legal. I think it's
thing
legal.
is,
I don't think it's branding.
Yeah, if they can consider, nobody cares what they think or they consider. You just do the A/B test, then do a brand study, and that's it. And then you can see if it's really damaging the brand or something else. You know, I know this is a big corporation and it's like, oh well, I think this is not going to work, but it's not the world we live in. We look at data and they make decision based on that.
Yeah, but we are not in corporations.
So
Thank
I
God.
guess the second piece of critique that someone can say, like on this little piece of analysis, is like, how do you even get to a 50% opt-in rate? And like that was like one of the biggest discussion points, like earlier in 2021. And I've done it. And basically, it's like 3 things that you need to do, and they're relatively simple. So as early as possible before the tutorial, before you even ask for any consent on anything, you need to have a pop-up message we found that at least that's supposed to be 3 lines long maximum, that contains like a nice picture, it's nice to look at, and basically has it written down that says that our company relies on advertising data to make games free for you to use, and we promise not to encroach on your privacy, but please opt in to allow us to keep making games. Then you localize that to your top 5 geos, Japanese, like German, whatever, and then you put it in the game, and that will bring up your opt-in rate from like an average where you usually get, if you don't have any messaging, of between 14 to 18%. It will always bring it into the kind of the ballpark of 42 to 52%. Simple. And it doesn't take that much. Like, it's not hard.
Easy. Easy.
Pop-up message.
Yeah, easy. There you go. No, yeah, I've heard a lot last year about this A/B testing of the pre-prompt windows. So this is actually pretty good recipe. Yeah. Thank you, Felix.
Yeah, like I'd be super keen also to see, because Rovio is one of the few companies in our industry as well that has their own mediation platform. And I would be super curious to know how actually that works. Like, because, you know, Rovio, like 600 million market cap, and they're making something that, you know, companies like ironSource have 4.5 billion market cap, AppLovin 16 billion market cap, and they're focusing on making the best like mediation platform known to man. My question is that I would love to know is like, is their mediation actually on par with the same level as them, or would it be more valuable for them to outsource it? And I have no idea, since I don't know the data.
Yeah, but isn't this like a data thing that, you know, you don't want to share the data with the mediation platforms, and you just want to keep everything by
the
by
thing
yourself.
here is like the main thing right now. Like if we were honest, like most revenue right now that you're generating derives from bidders, right? And one thing that I'm always talking to mediation platforms about is like, how come bidder, like for example, like one bidder is shit on one mediation platform and better on the other one? And I got the answer, and basically like bidders perform differently because they have different tech resources on the different mediation platforms. It's not the same bidder that you get for Facebook on IronSource that you get on AppLovin. Doesn't have the same tech resources, and they're built differently essentially. So are they doing the same optimization? Are they like, is the Facebook team giving the same amount of resources to the bidder for Rovio that they would for IronSource? Probably not, right? So yeah, I'm just assuming.
Well, the thing is, do they have the ability to use the bidder if they don't?
Maybe they're even using placement still, and then that's
Yeah, then that's a
very different story. But yeah, I have no idea about that. That's just speculation.
Yeah, but we are masters of speculation because this is what 4 a.m. conference discussion.
Exactly.
Of course. The only thing that we're missing is a bunch of drinks. But
one time we'll do it live with some drinks,
No.
huh?
Oh yeah. But it needs to be 4 a.m. for sure. Yeah, well.
What's the summary here? Any predictions?
Yeah, what's the summary? Yeah. So So from my point of view, I said innovation on the creative side, the spread or the diversification of the UA portfolio that much, and then what else? What else I mentioned? Yeah, I think that's it.
From my side?
No. So yeah, the UA diversification of the channels, then the innovation of the creatives, and then the ad monetization and different types of the campaigns for the Ad Mon. If you can get like more ad revenue, even 2 million is pretty decent number, then you can try and see how the AdROAS campaigns perform. And maybe you can get very much or very like higher scale than what you see at the moment.
From my side, it's just basically like let users decide for themselves if they want to opt into tracking, put in one single pop-up message and earn anywhere between $1 to $2.6 million extra a year.
Yeah, I would say, of course, try to diversify. I guess that hyper-casual acquisition was pretty good already, and kind of continuing that. I guess it's easy to say that, just go buy a mid-core studio, mid-core company. I would say get in line where there's like 20 different big publishers doing the same thing. So I'm guessing this will be really, really hard for Rovio because they don't have the resources that everyone else probably has, or let's say bigger bidders are there on the market, such as Playrix or Zynga or like all these other big guys. So I guess they will still struggle with it. So maybe this strategy that they're currently running, which is trying to publish mid-core games from external studios or internal teams, is still maybe more valid because the check on those mid-core studios that are kind of successful out there to be bought is just too big for them. So that's the other thing. And then I would say continue innovating your genre, because Angry Birds seems to be like really, really strong, like your own kind of a gameplay, like great move with the Angry Bird journey, like wishing that goes well. But also if you look at the Dream Blast, that was also pretty innovative because they did like a physics-based match 3. So I would say...
Sure, but how did it go?
No, it's the second biggest game.
Well, sorry, I was sorry. Yeah, I confused it with Sugar Blast.
No. This is Dream Blast. But that's the thing, that it brought something new in it. So I would say be bold and try to innovate. Like if you're going into these, like this is definitely the way to go. I know it's easier said than done, but that's usually it.
Yeah, at least it's not a bullshit advice.
Yeah, no bullshit.
No bullshit
Man, I think with that note we should end.
Yeah, I think so as well. Katarina, what do you think? Yeah, okay. I think that's it for today, guys. Thank you very much, and thank you very much, listeners, for your support. Please share feedback, subscribe on the YouTube channel and Spotify or iOS podcast as well. See you and hear you until next time. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See ya.
we have some time to for the recording because Romy comes back home I think in 2 hours, and then God knows what happens with Katarina. So let's see. All right.